Look, I have an equipment-sensitive dog, and if you clicked on this video, I'm probably not the only one. Hi everyone, I'm Laura from Doggy U, and I'm a certified guide dog mobility instructor, trick trainer, and service dog trainer. And today I'm going to be teaching you to teach your dog to love loading into their harness or vest. So we want to be able to pick up our harness or vest and have the dog run and stick their head through. Now this video is specifically for those dogs that might be a little bit more equipment sensitive, and we want to teach them to auto-load force-free. But if you have a dog that doesn't mind equipment, this video is for you too, because we always want to have a dog that loves getting into their equipment. So I'm going to show you that now. So let's get started. Look, I have an equipment sensitive dog, and if you clicked on this video, I'm probably not the only one. She's always been a little bit equipment sensitive, despite work throughout her life to make her feel comfortable in that equipment. And I've worked hundreds of guide and service dogs, enough to know that equipment sensitivity doesn't mean they don't like their job, any more than a dog that doesn't want to put their harness on for a hike doesn't like hiking. They just have a sensitivity to stuff on their body. Me too, I get it. If I have a shirt that's too scratchy or a tag that's in the wrong place, it makes my skin crawl until I rip that thing out. So the same thing can happen with our dogs. They can just be a little bit more sensitive to the feeling of things on their body. So for us, we want to make sure that we get them equipment that's as comfortable for them as possible. That means we might have to try out several things before we find the right fit. Then give them the opportunity to both explore the new equipment and then teach them to want to put it on. That's what we're going to do today. Self-loading into a harness or vest can be great for those with limited mobility as well. The dog runs to you, sticks their head in, and all you have to do is finish clipping it around their body. It makes putting on equipment much easier. So why teach them to self-load instead of just shoving the harness on and going out? Let me give you a human analogy. So I don't love wearing jeans. I find them to be really restrictive and a little bit itchy. But sometimes it's a good idea to wear them, like if I want to go out. So if I get to choose to put those jeans on to go to, say, a place where people socialize, where I can sit in the corner and pet a dog, then I'm going to be relatively happy about the experience. It's my choice and I get to do something fun when I put them on. However, if you say we're going out and then you shove jeans on me, I don't have a really good feeling about the jeans and I really don't have a good feeling about you. The same can happen with our sensitive dogs. These dogs can easily get a bad association with the harness if they're not feeling comfortable putting it on, have it shoved on them, or chased around the house while you try to put it on. Giving them the choice to put it on themselves and having agency over the process can create a positive conditioned emotional response to the harness or vest. This will only benefit you in your work together. Timeline. How long should this take? Essentially, it takes as long as it takes. And I know that's not popular, but I want to be really clear, we need to do this at the dog's pace. And what does that look like in practice? We want to do 1 to 2 minute training sessions with our dog and then put the vest away. It's okay to come back to it an hour or two later and do another session, but we definitely don't want to drill this until the dog isn't having fun anymore. It should be like, oh my gosh, we get to put that vest on. We're playing that vest game. You hold up the vest, you do 1 to 2 minutes of this game, and then we put it away and come back to it later. Until you can get them happily loading into the new equipment, use different equipment for your regular outings, whatever you're currently using. So to teach this auto load, we're going to use a concept called shaping. If you're not familiar with shaping, I have a video that I'll link up here for you to check out. But basically shaping is breaking down a behavior into its smaller component parts and then building to the full behavior. And when we're thinking about shaping the auto load, we want to think about what's the smallest component we can to get to the behavior we want. And the first thing the dog has to do is look at the new vest. Yes. So we're going to start by just clicking and rewarding for looking at the vest. Yes. Once the dog is excited by the appearance of the vest, we're going to move on to shaping touching it on the floor. An item on the floor is much less intimidating to a dog who might be equipment sensitive than holding it up. We're going to start by marking and rewarding, looking at the object on the ground, taking a step towards it, taking a few steps towards it, and then touching it with their nose or paw. We're going to do this several times until the dog is excited to run over and investigate the object. Once we have them excited about investigating the object, we might have them do something they already know how to do with it. For instance, if your dog has a retrieve and enjoys retrieving, you can have them retrieve the vest to you. This can be a fun little game to play for a few different reps to make them excited about getting the vest and bringing it to you. As an intermediary step, before moving on to our next step, if you think your dog is going to struggle to put their head into something, we want to start with a benign object and shape them putting their head through it first. You can use something like a small hula hoop or even have them eating out of a cone, which can be a great way to introduce the behavior away from the vest. So we start with that first by clicking and rewarding, looking at the object, moving towards it, and finally putting their head through. So back to the vest. We aren't labeling this to start. We're just introducing the concept. Humans love words. They love to talk. They love words. Dogs aren't like that. However, if you're feeling really human-y and you need to put a word to this eventually, you can put that way at the end of the training process. But for now, the presence of the vest is going to cue the dog to start doing behavior. Next, hold up the vest, or better yet, stand it up if possible. Taking the pressure of you holding it up out of the equation can actually be a really great way to go about this. In guide dogs, we've even rigged up like a frame system that we could hang a harness from to keep the human element out of it, and you can just shape the dog to self-load into that harness without ever touching it. Now we're going to mark and reward for touching the vest in this new position. If you need to, go back to marking and rewarding just for looking at the vest and then progress to touching it. Begin feeding the reward through the vest. When they go back to investigate, click and reward. Continue raising the criteria slowly until they're willing to put their head all the way through. If you want to see me working on this with full unedited video and a different harness, head on over to the DoggyU community at patreon.com/DoggyU. You can also see other unedited sessions of things like me teaching a medication reminder and retrieve, all for just $3. It's a fun community full of awesome pet and service dog handlers, so come join us. So back to the vest. We want to be sure to feed the dog while we're taking it off. Give them as much headroom as possible to take it off because the feeling of it going over their ears can be unsettling for some dogs, so feeding while we do it and giving them lots of space is the best option for this. Some dogs will do better with this from the down position like Cool Whip is doing here, so start there. Begin tossing the cookie away so you have some power and speed going into the harness when they run back to you. This can get them really excited about shoving their head all the way through. And if this video has been helpful so far and you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure you boop that like button and subscribe. Cool Whip, Jake, and I would be so grateful. Once your dog is exhibiting loopy behavior and coming back to self-load into the vest right after they've eaten the cookie, you can use a foot target as a suggestion to get the positioning right so their head goes all the way through, as some dogs will get a little stuck at the over-the-head part. It's okay to move the vest over the back a bit once their head is through, but the foot target can help them get into the correct position so you don't end up doing all the work for them and taking away the power of choice. If you haven't taught a foot target yet, I'll link a video up here that you can use to teach your dog. It's a really versatile behavior. I'm still not using a hand target here because in my experience, a lot of dogs associate hand targets with cookies in the hand. And that can create conflict for the dog, as in, I want to get the cookie in that person's hand, but I'm really still conflicted about putting this thing over my ears and I'm uncomfortable with it. So training in the emotional response of conflict into the vest is not what we're going for. That's why I chose to use a foot target, which is a suggestion, and the dog is still choosing to put their head through. Once they're happily sticking their head all the way through, it's time to buckle the vest, feed, unbuckle it, and take that vest off. Be sure to continue feeding while you're taking that vest off so that it's comfortable for them to get their head out. Once the dog is happily able to auto-load into the vest, have you buckle it, feed, take it off, it's time to level it up, and we're going to have them put the vest on and then do something really fun like obedience that they love, or even a game of tug or ball if that's what they're into. Now, a lot of you will worry that they may associate the vest with playing a game, but we're gonna do this just at home to get those good juices and feelings flowing when they put that vest on. Dogs are really good at understanding context, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. As kind of like a tangential example, I was thinking about this at Panera the other day. I was sitting and doing some work and eating my lunch. My dog was resting, not paying attention to me, not even looking at me while I was eating food. Flash forward to that night, and she is literally sitting on the couch next to me, head on shoulder, waiting for some snacks, because she knows that in the context of home, she's probably going to get a little bit of whatever I'm eating. But that doesn't happen in restaurants, so I don't have to worry about it. The same thing goes with play. If you put the vest on and play a little bit of games with your dog, they're not going to think that the vest means that when you're out in public, they should chase a soccer ball. But it will give them a positive emotional response to putting that vest on. Also, having the vest on should be fun. Dogs really do understand context. But if you're worried about it, instead of playing with a toy, if that's their jam, instead toss some food back and forth and let them chase after the food in one direction and then chase after the food in the other direction. When I was working guide dogs and we had body sensitive dogs, we would often actually let them go play in the yard with the other dogs with their harness on, which accomplishes two things. It creates a positive response to the harness, but it also lets them have a chance to feel what that harness feels like on their body. And it also has the added benefit of breaking in the harness a little bit. Because the thing about new equipment is it can be really stiff, which can be part of the uncomfortable factor for a lot of dogs. So if you want to help your dog with that, do a little bit of the conditioning yourself. Either roll that fabric back and forth so that the vest feels really worn, or if it's leather, you can use leather conditioner and work that harness the same way that you would do with a new leather leash to just get it more flexible and more comfortable, and that will also help your dog out. Okay, now that we're auto-loading and we're having good feelings about putting on the vest, we want to make sure that they can load from multiple angles. So hold up that vest, see if they can load from your side at 90 degrees or from in front of you. It's okay to complete the process of getting it over their head once they're choosing to stick their head in and they have lots of positive experiences with this vest. Once they're happily doing this in one place in your house, we want to make sure that they can do it in every room of your house and then out the back, out front, in your car, all of those different places. Once getting into the vest is a very good experience for them, we want to then associate that with work. So we want to have them load into the vest, go out to a spot that they really like, do some high energy engagement work, and then go back, take the vest off, and be done. We're talking about short 2 to 3 minute stints where vest goes on, we do some high energy obedience, we do some engagement, and then vest comes off. We want to slowly build over time. This is great association with the vest and working. Pretty soon you're going to have a dog that is diving into that vest to get the opportunity to work with you. And that's what we want. We're creating this conditioned emotional response to both this piece of equipment and also their work with you. All right, so if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell button so you get notified anytime a new video comes out. And if you want to learn more about dog training or support this channel further, check out the DoggyU community at patreon.com/doggyu, where you're gonna have access to my live Q&A monthly, as well as more than 100 videos that aren't available publicly. They're exclusive to Patreon. You'll also see my unedited training sessions so you can see how I handle a situation if something doesn't go the way I planned. If this sounds good to you, check it out at patreon.com/doggyu. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like this video, you'll probably like this one too, so make sure you click on it and check it out. All right, you have an awesome day and happy training.